Hello, I'm Pastor Justin. I'm the family pastor here at the Harbor Church. And last night at youth group, we began a new series called Purify, where we began to take a deeper look into our social media and our media intakes. We began to look at Bible verses like Matthew chapter 6, verse 22 and 23. We read from Jeremiah 2:12 and 13. And we also read from 1 John 2:15 through 17. From these verses, we looked at what are the good, the bad, and the ugly of social media. We began to talk about the good being that we can stay up on current affairs. We can check in with our friends. We can stay more global-minded and less focused on ourselves. We also looked at how we could use different aspects of social media for evangelistic purposes, spreading the gospel of Jesus. So those were some of the good things that we gleaned from our social media. Some of the bad things that we talked about were when we have a propensity to judge ourselves against other people, which can lead us to feel inadequate. And then we began to talk about the ugly, being cyberbullying, and also when we become addicted to our phones, when we become addicted to certain apps. We began to look at how what we post and what we share online becomes permanent. It becomes part of our identity. It tells the world what we think of ourselves, and also it gives off a certain message. So we took a deeper look into what we're doing with our social media, so we took a deeper look at what our social media is saying about us, whether who we're following, what their message is, what they are saying to the world, what we are saying to the world, that we're following these certain people. Also, we looked at what their message is and how their message can influence us, and it gives them access. How their message gives them access to our lives and begins to shape what we feel and what we believe. We looked into these different verses. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 12 and 13 says this: "Be appalled, O heavens, at this. Be shocked. Be utterly desolate, declares the Lord. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living water, and hewed out cisterns for themselves, broken cisterns that can hold no water." We took a deeper dive at looking at that verse, and we discovered that often we can forsake God and all that He has for us. We can walk away from the fountain of living water, and also we can try and fill that void with broken cisterns, cisterns that hold no water or hold dirty water, cisterns like different social media apps, time we spend with our friends, video games, movies, music. We try and find anything we can to have a void fulfilled that God is looking to fulfill Himself. And here God is talking about Israel and how they have walked away from Him and committed these two evils. First, they have forsaken Him, the one who brought them out of Egypt and brought them into the new land and made them into His people. And then if that wasn't bad enough, they try and make different cisterns. They try and make cisterns that are broken and cannot hold the water that God so eagerly wants to give them. It reminds me very much of us today. We often will leave God in a corner. We'll focus on God on Sunday morning or on a Wednesday night or every once in a while. But we really try and find our fulfillment in relationships, in what the latest fad is online, what the gossip is on apps and on social media. So we discussed how God wants us to really push into Him and find our everything in Him, Him being the source of living water in our lives. So my hope for this video is that the conversation continues. As a matter of fact, that's kind of the title that we're giving this, is Continue the Conversation. We're hoping that you'll be able to speak with your child at home. Go over their social media with them, what they're intaking, who they're following. I have a set of guidelines here, and I circled a bunch of these, and I'll put this out for everyone to be able to look at. But some of these guidelines are really helpful, like teach your child that whatever they put on the internet is permanent. Everything they post, they tweet, they send using an app leaves a public digital footprint. That is so incredibly important to understand that today, when we say something out online, it stays forever. Here's one. Limit when your children can use his or her device. For example, prevent usage while driving. That's super important. During meals and on vacations, or after 9 p.m. Here's another one. It is important to know what apps your kids are downloading. Some of the apps and websites encourage risky behavior, which can be very dangerous. And here's how I'd like to see the conversation continue. There's an idea of social media cleanse. And what that means is you and your student would sit down together and go over who they're following, who their followers are. Find out if they are online friends or if they're in real life friends. Try and eliminate as many online friends as possible. If these aren't people that we communicate with on a regular basis in person, they probably don't need to be a part of our life. So for this online cleanse, I would say give your child a day or two to kind of go over their own social media and see what's what, see who's who. And then maybe sit down and talk to them about, hey, I'm really interested in what's going on your social media. I'm interested in what's going on in your life. And can we sit down and talk about this together? I want to encourage you, don't come at this from the point of view of judging, but rather supporting. Finding a way to be able to make common ground between you and your student. Social media can be very divisive. We as parents can often feel like we just don't understand, or we don't fit in, or we don't get it. If you sit down with your student, you might be surprised at how much they will let you in. We also spoke last night about media, movies and music and other aspects of what we are taking in. We read from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 6, verse 22 and 23, where Jesus speaks about our eye is the window to our soul, a window to our spirit. And if the eye is full of light, then the body or the soul is full of light. And if it's full of darkness, then everything is full of darkness. We talked about how we have to be careful what we put before our eyes, what we discuss, what we watch, what we listen to. We talked about the fact that just because it's the right rating doesn't make it right. And that we need to be careful what we consume. Thank you so much for watching. I'll have all the links down in the description of what we discussed. I sure hope that you found that this video was helpful. My goal is to be able to partner with you and to be able to support your students. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or reach out to me. Until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye.